Remember Me, final game of the month. The pickings have been a bit weak for February. Does this buck the trend? Not really, no. As you probably could have guessed, Remember Me is about memories. The game makes use of a fairly cool augmented reality device known as the Sensen. This serves as the focal point for every positive and negative, gameplay, story, or otherwise in this game. In terms of plot, we've got one of those giant corporations that controls everything from the shadows that shows up in pretty much everything nowadays. Last month I reviewed DMC Devil May Cry, and next month Infamous Second Son comes out. Both of these have pretty much the same motif. That's also 2 Capcom published games in as many months now to feature the same plot points. Capcom, is there something you're trying to tell us? Or are you just after that sweet, sweet Hunger Games pie? Anyways, you play as Nilin, or Lara Croft as her friends call her. Throughout the game you'll climb buildings, walk slowly, battle your way through hordes of enemies, walk slowly, and sometimes, if you're good, do something with memories. Right off the bat, a major issue is the crushing linearity. The platforming pays the barest lip service to the genre, offering a set path indicated by flashing lights. It's severely automated, and the only real chance of failure is to mess up on the remarkably simple timing puzzles or for the game to fail for you. The puzzles are pretty rare, and as I said, terribly simple. So these alarmingly plentiful platforming stages end up just being filler between fights. So how's the fighting then? I'll tell you, but first I want to talk about how the game disrespects your time. Can you get up and just start walking around slowly until I'm done talking? Okay, good. Constantly throughout a level, Nilin will screech to a halt, stick a finger in your ear, and will have no choice but to slowly amble forward, listening to whatever the person has to say until they're finished monologuing. If you die, odds are you're going to respawn to that checkpoint right before that, so you'll have to sit through it again too. So you can add that to the list of filler in this game. Now the combat, this is what should be carrying the game, and unfortunately it doesn't. The game uses the conceptually cool idea of building your own combos, but like the rest of the game, it's horribly linear. The moves you unlock are always limited, and you can only fill the slots for your combos with certain attacks. A side effect of this is that your combos never change their combination, so you better get used to hammering out the exact same combo every time you fight an enemy, because it's the only way you're going to be doing any decent damage. The other major wrinkle to the combat is the dodge mechanic. Nearly every time an enemy attacks, an indicator will appear, and pressing the dodge button will allow you to perform a really cool looking evade. Sometimes. The mechanic is annoyingly finicky. Sometimes Nilin won't dodge, sometimes the computer will decide that the best way to dodge is directly into the attack you're trying to avoid. In fact, every move has a weird sense of lag to it. You can't consistently cancel out of other moves, and there's often uncomfortably long pauses between the end of one move and the game recognizing the input for your next one. The game punishes button mashing though. If you hammer the button, it cancels your combo. The combination of weird timing for combos and the inputs for the dodge mechanic end up making the game feel more like Simon Says than anything else. That's really the game in a nutshell. It sees you saying, gee, I wouldn't mind trying something like this, and then it takes you to the side and says, no, do this thing I set up for you, it's much better. Trust me to look cool. There's a very distinct lack of trust for the player. And now the final part of the gameplay, a footnote really, which is a shame, memory remixing. Talk about a missed opportunity. Never mind that this game's all about memories, and yet this mechanic barely factors in, but it's also just plain one of the most interesting things the game has to offer, and yet barely makes an appearance. Like everything else I've mentioned, it's not fleshed out properly. Basically, the game has you going through a memory and finding set points that you can interact with until you find the one that progresses the plot. There's no variance, there's no real puzzle solving, it's just click everything until it works. But there's so much potential to this concept. If you played the Nintendo DS game Ghost Trick, which is a game I really need to get back to and beat sometime, the concept of memory remixing is very similar to that game's core mechanic. I think this game would have been better as a full-on puzzle game based around the memory remixing as opposed to the platforming combat puzzle hybrid we end up getting. Here's what I mean. Early on, one scene has a few police officers coming after Nilin. One of them is clearly the leader. In the game, it's just a normal fight. But what if instead the game completely forewent combat, and instead you had to use the memory remixing to solve problems? There could even be a bit of a moral choice element here, that the easiest solution would just be to erase the memories of Nilin's face so that the police officer doesn't recognize her, thus avoiding the conflict. However, what if you could also do some more advanced editing to make the officer, for example, call off the search, or even convince him he's in favor of your cause. Or you could just plain drive him insane and then escape during the chaos that ensues. Oh well, no point really in wishing for the game you could have gotten as opposed to the one you did get, eh? One other thing in this game that shines is the aesthetic. A very cool use of augmented reality that unfortunately just hampered my experience in this particular game. All the icons and such that dot the map look exactly like icons that you'd find in any other video game, so I expected to be able to interact with them, but they're completely part of the scenery, which only went to further reinforce my earlier complaints about the linearity. The aesthetic helped build a world I wanted to explore, and constantly reminded me that I couldn't. All in all, Remember Me is filled to the brim with great ideas and half-baked execution. While none of the games of this month have been particularly extraordinary, this is the one I feel the worst about disliking because it has so much clear potential. Unfortunately, it just seems like the devs were split between too many different good ideas and ended up with not a single one of them being properly fleshed out. And all it left me thinking about was what it could have been. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is actually a bit of a prototype for an upcoming video I'm working on, so hey, I hope that goes well. If you want to watch more videos like this, you can check out last week's review, Payday 2. And hey, if you like this video, subscribe to Rexid, it really helps him out.